It's a new year and a new you. And you know what that means? You got to change up your habits, and particularly your money spending habits. The average American tends to overspend beyond their budget every month, and it's not a pretty sight when you keep track and add up all your unnecessary expenses. So today, we're going to go through our top 15 money saving tips for 2022. Hey guys, before we get started, welcome to Hip Finance. My name is Dylan Hippensteel, and I go over what I feel are great financial tips and tricks, as well as any new financial news that is going on in the world. I post videos every Monday and Friday, so be sure to hit the like button and subscribe so you don't miss out on any new videos. And just as a disclaimer, this is not financial advice, so make sure to do more of your own research. Now let's get right into it. So I'm going to be going from 15 down to 1, so let's start with 15. 15 is to record your expenses. One of the most important and easiest things that you can do as the first step to saving money is record your expenses. You can make a Microsoft Excel sheet, which is our go-to method to keeping an eye on our expenses. This will make things easier to keep track of and will also enable you to reflect on what you've spent your money on at the end of the day, week, month, so you can change up your spending habits. All those small items that you buy can add up to a few $100s or even thousands at the end of the year. Once everything is in place in accordance with your spending data, organize those numbers according to different categories, such as groceries, loans, mortgage, and the money you spend on gas, and total it for the end of each week. Number 14 is budget up for savings. After you're done recording your daily expenses in a tracking app or an Excel sheet, you can get right into organizing your recorded expenses and move towards creating a workable budget. This will help you end up with some savings towards the end of the month or week. Now, you might be thinking about why you need to have a budget. Well, for starters, a budget helps you outline how your expenses should measure up in accordance with your income. This way you can limit the amount of money you spend and not be tempted to overspend on certain unnecessary items at the grocery store. Now, if you still aren't convinced you need a budget, remember that 70% of Americans have less than $1,000 in their savings. Now, your goal should be able to beat these stats, and this way you will always have some extra money to fall back on. Now, 13 is figuring out how you should cut your spending. We've all been through times where we couldn't save as much as we'd like to because our expenses were just too high. That might be a red flag that tells you it's time to dial back on your expenses. You have to figure out what part of your expenses are essential. For instance, the average consumer spends around $300 monthly on their subscriptions, which totals to over $3,000 a year. Some of the ways that you can save that money is going back through your subscriptions and canceling all the unneeded ones. So get on top of your subscriptions and figure out which ones you really need and which ones are just there to make a hole in your wallet. Number 12 is set some saving goals. Always keep a money saving goal in mind. It can either be a short term or a long term, but you can start off by manifesting the money saving goal into a tangible form. This could be like an object or an event such as planning a wedding, buying a new laptop, getting a new car, or saving up for retirement. After you're done setting your goal, start calculating how long it'll take you to reach that goal and how much money you need to save to get to that goal in the first place. 11 is figure out your priorities. It all comes down to your priorities. This is how you structure your goals, the steps to reach those goals, and the order that you set them. When you're done with your daily expenses and your income, the goals that you set are going to have the biggest impact on how you finance, save, and structure your savings plan. Also, make sure that your short-term goals don't mess with your long-term goals in the process as well. You don't want a brand new pair of shoes to set you back on your retirement funds or your down payment funds setting you back on your daily expenses. You need to prioritize your savings goals in a proper order to have a clear idea of how to start saving up and what to be saving for in the first place. Number 10 is very important, so make sure you listen. Number 10 is make sure that you subscribe to the channel and like the video to help it push it to more people. This will push the video to more people to help them reach their financial goals. But anyways, let's get to the real number 10. Number 10 is get rid of your debt. The worst way to tackle a savings plan is to start off being burdened by debt. If it seems impossible to continue with the additional weight of your debts, then you should prioritize paying them off before you look into other plans. You might be skeptical as to why you'd want to tackle your debts first instead of slowly paying them off, but you might want to think of how much interest you'd also be paying off in the long run and how much money you'd be losing that way. If you think about it in these terms, then you'd gladly rethink your decision. You should add up and figure out how much money you're spending to service your debt. Number 9 is stop spending money on unnecessary items. The best way to start saving money is to stop spending money on daily things that shouldn't be part of your life and something you shouldn't be dependent on. Let's take up the example of smoking. Smoking is a daily habit, and chronic smokers tend to smoke up to 1.5 packs a day. That should be a no-go for you. Spending a few bucks on cigarettes every day doesn't seem like that big of a deal, but when you add it up by the end of the year, it totals up to be around $3,000. Number 8 is spend a vacation at home. Instead of spending thousands of dollars on plane tickets, booking a hotel room, and spending money, stay at home in your local town and try and find new things to do there. You'd be surprised by how many fun things there are to do in the place you live or your very own backyard, along with the local charms and attractions that you might have missed. You'd be surprised by how much money you'd save by staying at home in your local town. Number 7 is spend money to save money. If your bills seem way too high despite how little you think you're using, it's time to find that company and figure out what the problem is. You might be surprised, but who knows, you might find out that you have energy efficiency problems. So make a call to your local utility company and get an energy audit. Or you can contact a certified contractor and get a whole energy efficiency review. This will enable you to cut down on expenses in the long run and save a ton of money when it comes to heating or air conditioning or electric. Number 6 is sort of staying in the same field there by lowering your thermostat. You'd be surprised by how much money you can save just by turning down the thermostat by a few degrees. Turning it down on central or water heating can save up to 10 to 20% of your money on utility bills. If that's not enough, you can also install a tankless water heater that can save around 30% of your money as compared to a tank water heater. Number 5 sounds really weird for this channel, but stop using credit cards. Now, normally on this channel, if you guys are using credit cards correctly for the sign-up bonuses and the cashback rewards, then keep doing it. Now, if you're using credit cards incorrectly, you can cut back on using your credit card and save a ton of money. You'd be surprised how much interest you have to pay on a credit card when that credit card interest rate kicks in. Make sure to never go into credit card debt, as paying 20 to 30% of an interest rate on credit cards is never worth it. Never go on big shopping sprees on a credit card just because you have a few credit card discounts on your bank card. Make sure to stay within your budget and use cash only. When we use credit cards, we don't realize how much money we are spending until we look at our bank account. But when we use cash, we feel the money slipping away and become more mindful. But again, if you're using credit cards correctly for the sign-up bonuses and the cashback rewards, then continue doing that. Number 4 is don't spend on payday. Did you know that 1 in 5 people spend half of their income within 48 hours of getting paid? If you follow their example, you'll hardly have any savings. We all have disposable income, so don't burn a hole in your wallet and think twice before deciding if you really need something or not. When you start budgeting and staying on top of all your expenses, you'll figure out how much disposable income you really have and how much of it you can really spend at the beginning of the month. But make sure to refrain from it in the first place. Number 3 is shop for cheaper groceries. You'd be surprised to know that branded grocery stores and local grocery stores are not that far apart in terms of quality. In fact, they're pretty much the same project, just swapped out in different packages. If you think about it, you're paying a premium for the packaging and the brand instead of the product that you're consuming. So you're just falling for corporate marketing tactics. Instead, go after your own local brands and you'd be surprised that they taste exactly the same in a blind taste test. This is the best way to save up money when shopping for groceries. Number 2 is stop wasting food. You just went to the grocery store and spent all that money on food, hopefully less money if you went to a local grocery store, but 3/4 of what we throw out into the garbage is entirely clean and edible, and that's a shame on all of us. Be mindful when eating or buying food, and plan out your portions of what you buy before putting it on a plate. Make sure you know what you're eating is enough for one person and not for 3 to 4 people. If you have leftovers, don't throw them away. Instead, wrap them up and save them for later. If you're concerned about food poisoning and food safety, make sure that all the products mostly have an expiration date, so make sure to check that too. So make sure that you save money by not wasting food. And now, number 1. Number 1 is to plan a no spend day. Go through an entire day without spending any money. It could even be on a day off from work, which is ideal. When you plan a no spend day and don't use any money, you realize how much money you really need to spend and what expenses are essential or non-essential. This prepares your mind all the more for future expenses while psychologically saving money in the future. Think of it as a little life hack. You can have leftovers instead of ordering takeout, and you can brew some coffee or make oats at home instead of going out to a cafe to get your lunch. Life can be cheaper and so much more fulfilling if you put in the work yourself, and you can save money along the way. So I hope these 15 money saving tips for 2022 help you out in the new year. I hope you guys all have a great year. But before you guys go, make sure you like and subscribe to help push this video to more people and help them save money as well. In the description below, I'll put all of my socials like my TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter where I post shorter form content. Again, I hope you guys have a great year, and I'll see you in the next video.